Hey guys, I'm Quirky Turtle, and this is everything you need to know about version 1.2, the Knights Reforged update for Ember Knights. So let's get right into this. So the overview for update 1.2 goes like this. So there's new weapon modifiers, there's new relics, and there's also some relic changes. There's the Ember Tree upgrades that have been changed, and there's a bunch of new ones too now. There's some cool surprises in there too, and Whitesbury and Anvil got some balancing changes. So starting off with the weapon modifiers, I'm only going to go over the new weapon modifiers. So starting with the Ember Blade, one of the new ones is Stagger. Your first weapon hit on an enemy has a chance to stun, which in my opinion doesn't seem too crazy, but we'll move on. So Flurry is the second one. Gain a charge attack where you unleash a flurry of rapid attacks. This seems really good, like really good. It's basically just rapid attacks and you can move. It is really slow, but you can move while doing it. And then at the end, when you stop attacking, it sends out like a lunge forward. Now, moving on to Spite, whenever you stun an enemy, your next attack will unleash a lightning bolt. So this is really good for any lightning builds that you're trying to do. Now, Pyro Strike seems super interesting. So whenever you create an enemy, you also burn that enemy, which means you can make one hell of a burn crit build. Moving on to the Guardian Bow. So they changed the bow, so now the bow has a base movement speed of 120%, which is a 20% increase from any other character. There's also 4 weapon modifiers that they added. The first one being Opportunist. Your charge attacks deal 10% bonus damage to enemies afflicted by status ailments. Ricochet is pretty fun, and your charge attacks will ricochet to additional enemies. This is pretty good. However, if it was on every attack, not just charge attacks, I would like it a lot more, but it is definitely in a good spot. Perfectionist. Chaining perfect charge attacks adds additional arrows with a maximum of 3 additional arrows. It doesn't seem that good. I would advise try it, test it, see if you like it. If you like it, use it obviously, but I would advise against using it in my opinion. Invigorate is the last weapon mod for the Guardian Bow. Whenever you defeat an enemy, increase your attack speed. I don't know what percentage it increases your attack speed by, but if it's anything significant, I definitely think this is a good mod to use, because the faster you can attack, the higher your DPS is, which means the faster you can get through rooms. Moving on to the Nexal Staff. There's 5 new mods for it, starting with Overflow. Your charge attack damages in a circle. So instead of it being a cone attack, it's literally all around you, so it auto-targets any enemies around you. Magic Orbs. Shoot 2 Seeking Orbs when a skill gains a charge. So these 2 Seeking Orbs give you 2 skill refresh, again, because each one, when it hits an enemy, it gives you 1 skill refresh. So it's basically just gain 2 skill refresh and a little bit of damage to some enemies upon refreshing a skill charge. Focus. The refresh of skills is lowered by 2. It's literally a chronograph. I do see some situations where it's pretty good. Spell Siphon. Defeating an enemy with charge attacks increases skill damage by 10% infinitely for the next skill use. If you kill one enemy with your charge attack, it increases your skill damage by 10%. If you kill 2, that's 20%, 3, 30%, and you can infinitely stack it, but it gets used the first time you use a skill. So let's say you're using a skill that does 10 damage on perfect, and you killed 5 enemies with your charge attacks. That will increase your skill damage by 50, and then that skill use that you use will deal 15 damage, but then your next will deal 10. So it resets every time you use your skill. Imbuement. Whenever you use a skill, your weapon gains 5 skill damage. I haven't used this yet, but it's pretty similar to one of the old mods that basically just increases your damage whenever you use a skill. The Rift Hammer. It also got 5 new mods. So Volcanic Rift, your third attack leaves a trail of fire. This could be good if you're trying to build into some sort of burn build. Defensive Stance is probably one that you'll take pretty often, considering you gain 35% damage reduction while charging an attack. Combat Slam. When charged, your third attack becomes a leap attack. Battle Rhythm. Killing an enemy grants an orbiting hammer. Your third attack launches the hammers forward. I'm not sure how many hammers you can have maximum, but I'm assuming it's probably 3. Heavy Blow is one of the super interesting ones that I think I'll enjoy a lot playing the hammer, which is your first weapon hit on an enemy deals 10% of your max HP as damage. So let's say you have 100 health and you hit an enemy, you're going to deal another 10 damage because that's 10% of your max HP. Razorwind. So they changed the attack speed on it. They definitely increased it. I'm not sure by how much, but it's definitely increased. And they got 4 new mods. Dual Strike, your third attack hits twice. Persistence, your third attack leaves a projectile. Precision, your charge attack tipper hits twice. Your charge attack tipper has an extra 10% chance to crit. Overall, they seem pretty underwhelming in my opinion. Reaper's Toll. So there's 6 new mods. They basically just reworked the entire weapon, but it does seem like they did a lot of good for it. So starting with Lacerate, slashed enemies take 10% bonus damage from weapon attacks. So basically, you slash an enemy or use a slash charge against an enemy, and you'll deal 10% bonus damage to that enemy from any weapon attack. I don't know how well it's actually going to work in a build, unless you're just building damage, but even then, you're probably going to end up one-shotting it, so being able to deal another 10% bonus damage. I guess it's better at defeating bosses and mini-bosses who have a lot of health. Hidden Blade. Start with the Cloak and Dagger skill. Phantasm. Your slash projectiles conjure ghosts when fired. So I haven't played around with this, but from what I've seen, it seems like the ghosts are the same ghosts that get spawned out from Urn of Vengeance, which deals 150% weapon damage. Piercing Slash. Slash projectiles pierce through enemies. I haven't tried this, but I'm assuming it just has infinite pierce. Split Slash. Cast multiple slash projectiles simultaneously. Necromancy. Whenever you defeat a slashed enemy, summon a wisp. So this is a good summoner mod. Now they also added ultimate mods, which is 1 for each weapon. So the sword's ultimate mod is spin attack. Your third attack is a spin attack. Empowered arrows. Perfect weapon attacks empower your next chain attacks. Arcane Mastery. This one is amazing. So Arcane Mastery, it upgrades the arcane orbs to Quasar orbs, which I'll show you in the next slide. Overcharge is the hammer ultimate mod. Adds overcharge to all attacks. Burgeoning. Whenever your charge attack hits an enemy, its size increases temporarily. And then Reserve. Get an additional ammo for slash. That's the Scythe ultimate mod. So the ultimate mods get unlocked when you have all of the other weapon mods unlocked. So Quasar orbs is the ultimate mod for the staff, which is really good in my opinion. It launches 3 arcane orbs dealing AoE damage. It's the advanced staff skill because you unlock it from the ultimate mod of the staff, and it has 2 charges just like arcane orbs, but the base damage is altered. So it does 6 damage if you just tap the skill, 8 damage if you charge the skill, and 10 damage if you perfect the skill, which is slightly lower than the arcane orbs, but then again, it does shoot 3 orbs instead of 1. So it seems really, really good. Moving on to the Ember Tree, there's now 4 new colors once you max out the Ember Tree. I'm going to be using the purple one, but there's also green, blue, and red. They updated a whole bunch of the Ember Tree upgrades. So Thick Skin got updated. So you now gain 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40 max HP, depending on the level of it. Regeneration also got updated. You heal 3, 4, and 5 health after entering any room. And then Earned Vitality, gain 6, 8, 10 max HP after defeating a boss, or half after defeating a mini-boss. So if you defeat a boss with maxed out Earned Vitality, you'll gain 10 max HP, but if you defeat a mini-boss, you'll only gain 5 max HP, which is a pretty good change, to be honest. Now, in the damage slots of the Ember Tree, they changed every single thing. Or not changed, but they updated everything. So Slayer now deals 5, 10, and 15% bonus damage to non-boss enemies. Giant Slayer deals 5, 10, 15% bonus damage to mini-bosses and bosses. Earned Power now gives you 2, 4, and 6% bonus damage after defeating a boss, or half after defeating a mini-boss. So let's say you have it maxed out, and you defeat a boss, it'll give you 6% bonus damage. And then if you defeat a mini-boss, it'll give you 3% bonus damage. Now, they also updated gold slots. So Pocket Change was updated. You now gain 100, 125, 150, 175, and 200 starting gold, depending on the level of Pocket Change, which is a boost of 50 from the last version's max to this version's max. Easy money, there is no change here. Dividends was updated, so it's now gained 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15 bonus gold when you enter a room until you make a shop purchase. So making a shop purchase does not include re-rolling a shop. You can re-roll a shop all you want. You can spend all of your gold re-rolling a shop and then not finding a relic that you want in the shop. So then you just leave and you'll continue to gain that 15 gold per room. Situational damage. So this is one of the new Ember Tree upgrades, which is called Warm Welcome. You gain 5, 10, 15, and 20% bonus damage for the first 5 rooms of a new world. Now, revive slot. They updated the soul link, so nothing physically changed on it. You still gain 1, 2, 3, and 4 revives per level. Revive with 25% HP, but instead of it being given to, let's say you're playing co-op and you have 2 players both running soul link, it's not 4 shared, it's 4 each now. Second Wind was not changed, and then they added Guardian Angel, which is probably the best Ember Tree upgrade for speedrunning because you don't actually die. Once per world, if you would die, gain a protective shield that prevents damage and heals 10, 20, 30, 40 health, depending on the level of it. So this does not stop your momentum. It doesn't do anything. It's basically what Stoicism was on the sword, but now it's an Ember Tree upgrade, and it also gives you health. Now the relic slot, relic dice was unchanged, so you can reroll relic selectors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times per run. They added Treasure Hunter, which is epic and legendary relics have a 2, 3, 4, and 5% greater chance to appear, depending on the level again. Keen Eye is another one they added, which bosses have a 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25% chance to drop a relic. This seems pretty damn good if you're doing any endless runs, so you want a ton of relics. Onto the skills slot, skill dice was updated, so skill selectors can be rerolled 1, 2, or 3 times now per run. It used to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times per run, depending on the level. They added Deep Knowledge and Expertise. Deep Knowledge is your first skill chosen gains an additional charge. So let's say in the first skill selector, you pick up Arcane Bolts, because I know it has 3 charges. Since you picked it up with Deep Knowledge, you will then make it have 4 charges total for the rest of the run. Expertise. Perfect skills deal 10, 20, and 30% bonus damage, depending on the level. So this is pretty good for, let's say, speedrunning, because speedrunning generally you have to use a skill build, which then you need perfect skills. So why not deal 30% bonus damage at max level? The stat slots. So these are all new. Bonus gems. Bosses and mini bosses have a 30, 40, and 50% chance to drop a bonus gem. Refinery. Your first stat gem in each world gives double gems. Gain basically double gems at the start of a world, which could be pretty good for an endless run. Perfection is also probably a really good one for speedrunning. So defeating a boss without taking damage drops a bonus large stat gem. Now onto the wildcard options slot. So there's expansion, which was slightly updated, basically just added to this slot. Relic selectors offer an additional option. Fortunate, stat selectors have a 25% chance for a double gem. Lucky offering, so offering pits have a 25, 50, and 75% chance to give a bonus item, depending on the level. This doesn't seem too good, just because you have to get an offering pit for it to be useful. So it's very situational, versus the other two are just good no matter what. Wildcard Super. These are the really good Ember Tree upgrade slots. First one is Bonus Relic. This is the one that all the speedrunners use, and it might change, might not change, but it's basically your first relic selector allows 2 relics to be chosen, which is basically just the name got changed. It used to be Extra Starting Relic. Ultimbera is a new one. When you are full HP, your weapon attacks also shoot short range energy projectiles, which the range of it is not short. Short is an understatement for sure. It's literally the same range as Razorwind's charged attack. They also added Super Reroll, which you gain a Super Reroll that can reroll and restock any selector and adds an additional option. Now moving on to the new relics, there's a whole bunch of new relics. This is the new relic that Tifei added because he won the Demon's Challenge. So he got to create a relic. So he created Eye of the Storm. Your third attack unleashes the power of the Razorwind. Ember Seed. Whenever your HP drops below 15%, root all enemies dealing damage over time and healing you for each enemy rooted. Confined Fury. Your wisps deal 50% more damage, and it stacks plus 50% per level. So basically, if you're going some sort of summoner build, it's pretty damn good and will allow your wisps to deal much more damage. Warlock Script. Gain 5% bonus damage for each wisp you have. So once again, this is another like summoner build thing. It also gains another plus 5% per level. Frost Pact. Whenever you defeat a frozen enemy, summon a Frost Wisp. Charged Trinket. Whenever you conjure a lightning bolt, you have a 25% chance to summon a lightning wisp. That chance goes up by 10% per level. Pristine Band. Whenever you perfectly complete a room, increase max HP by 1. So perfectly completing a room means you didn't take any damage in that room. So you increase your HP by 1, and it goes up by 1 per level. Flawless Brace. Whenever you perfectly complete a room, gain 25% damage in the next combat. Absolute Ambition. Whenever you perfectly complete a room, permanently increase skill damage by 5%. This will stack infinitely, so it's going to be super fun to use in endless runs. Recovery Ring. Whenever you enter a new room, you heal 1 HP, and you heal 1 more HP per level. Shocking Revelation. Whenever you refresh a skill, conjure a lightning bolt that deals 3 to 15 damage. Impure Pestilence. Enemies can be afflicted with an additional stack of poison, plus 1 stack per level. Black Ice. Freeze damage. Increased by 50%, plus 50% per level. Cryo Freeze. Enemies are frozen for 50% longer, and it scales linearly, so plus 50% per level. Lethal Venom. Poison damage increased by 50%, and it's plus 50% per level. Spark Ring. Lightning damage increased by 50%, plus 50% per level, so it scales linearly again. Creature's Bond. Whenever you use a skill, increase wisp damage by 25%, and it increases by 25% per level. Now onto the relic changes. Spell in a Bottle was changed. Whenever a skill fully refreshes, shoot a Seeking Missile that does 15 base damage and scales with skill damage. It also got changed to a common. Doom Shell. This was a big change for Doom Shell. When you roll, turn into a spinning shell and deal 25 AoE damage along your path. You also deal 1 bonus damage for each armor you have. There's also a 1-second cooldown. Archangel's Scythe. It's now common, and it has 10 base damage instead of increasing with how much health you heal. It just has 10 base damage and increases by 10 per level. Magic Tome. It's now a common. Base damage of 5, which increases by 5 per level, and it scales with skill damage. Wizard's Fleece. So it now increases your max armor by plus 5, and you gain 3% skill damage for each armor you currently have, and it increases by another 3% per level. Decayed Scepter gives 15% skill damage, and it increases by another 15% skill damage per level. It still applies poison stacks depending on the level too. It's just, this is what's new about it. Toxic Bangle is changed to an epic. Infernal Scale now shows the damage increase, 3 damage per level. Kindle Blade now only spawns fire wisps, and Barrier Pendant now has a 5-second cooldown. Glacial Necklace is now a common, and it has a level cap of 4 with a 4-second cooldown. Each level that you increase it by gets minus 1 second to the cooldown. Level 4, you can have it at a 1-second cooldown. Shock Troop. Whenever you defeat an enemy with lightning, summon a lightning wisp, and there's a 5-second cooldown on that. Call to Arms was changed, so it's casting a perfect spell. Cast Warcry, which is 25% bonus damage for 5 seconds, and there's now a 30-second cooldown. Ruma's Ring got changed to proccing every kill, but there's also a 15-second cooldown. So they added a couple new rooms too. The first one is the Relic Refiner. You can level up any levelable relic in your inventory. So that's what this blue relic selector was. It's a Relic Refiner. There's also now the Refinement Shop, where you can upgrade any upgradable relic in your inventory to the next level for a price. And it depends on the rarity. So a common generally is like 300-ish gold, I believe. And a legendary is roughly 450 gold, might be even like 500. It might also depend on which area you're in too. This gear is the symbol for the room too. There's also a piece of gold armor on a stand in the refinement shop at like the top right. Picking up the gold armor on the stand gives all players 10 temporary armor. Now onto the Whitesbury changes. So they added a wishing well in some rooms where you can give 1 gold And then the possible outcomes are 1 apple, small stat gems, or nothing. Generally, it's nothing, but you obviously have that small chance for an apple and small stat gem. That I'm aware of, at least. There could be other possible outcomes that I'm not aware of yet. Tombstones. So they added these tombstones that are like glowing. Breaking them releases ghosts, which are also called wights, into a future room. What this causes is Ghost Storm. If you destroy too many of them, or maybe it's just one, I'm not 100% sure on why it does it, but if you destroy too many tombstones, it causes a Ghost Storm in some room. So ghosts/wights spawn in waves, and they deal 20 damage to any player in their path. And this is the spawning indicator here. So when you see this, it indicates what direction they're going to be spawning in and be traveling in. The ghost storm looks like, or what I'm going to be calling a ghost storm. Basically, it's just a wave of ghosts that comes at you. There's also a new werewolf attack where after dropping below 80% HP, werewolves will howl and become enraged, gaining 50% move speed, 25% attack speed, and 25% damage. They're definitely a little scarier now, considering they gain a bunch of buffs if you don't kill them. Onto the Anvil Changes. So they added this little cute guy, which is basically just a blue electric ball. Gold Code, one of the valuable members of the Discord Ember Knights community, named him Ollie Azir, so I stuck with that. When activated, your next 6 weapon attacks cause a lightning strike for 3 to 15 damage, which doesn't seem like a lot, but these weapon attacks that cause lightning can also open up the secret room. So the little Tesla coil towers that you're supposed to hit with Judgment to open the secret room, you can also just hit with your normal attacks if you have activated this guy and still have your 6 attacks. They also added Tesla coils, which are these guys, which will supercharge enemies, giving them a new attack, and the stat bonuses, which is 50% move speed, 25% damage, and 25% health. If you've ever seen shockers with 300% move speed and 200% attack speed, plus they get hit by this Tesla coil, they absolutely zoom. It is insane. Then there are some miscellaneous changes, which is they separated champion enemies from their rooms, which basically means they can appear anywhere now. It's definitely a little bit scary considering you find the Area 4 champion in some random room where there's also a bunch of other enemies because it spawns in with other enemies now. They also made it so all skill cast damage numbers will be displayed in all instances where skill damage are referenced. So if you're picking up a skill from a skill selector, it'll tell you the damage numbers tapped, charged, and perfected in that order. They added perfect rooms and perfect bosses. So basically it's just rooms cleared without taking any damage. And then the player HUD shows knight and armor color now, so it's easier to determine which one you are playing in co-op. And the last thing that I want to talk about is Ember Knights is currently 20% off until November 28th. So if you're thinking about buying it, now's the time to buy it. It is 20% off. If this video was helpful, please leave a like on it. And if you want to see more content, either like this for every update and or any of the other videos that I upload on this channel, just subscribe and you'll never miss another video from me. I'll see you guys in the next one.